Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I will be your host. And in this episode, Tracey Heinrichs is going to tell us about her recent experience at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, which happens to be under major construction. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts, consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracey Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone.
Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Hi, everybody.
And back in our production facility, we have our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello.
Again, thank you guys for joining us. This is going to be an interesting episode because Tracey got to stay at the Caribbean Beach Resort. And as we all know, it's major construction is going on. I think Tracey needs a better travel agent. Someone should have told you in advance that this was happening.
I know, it's true.
Actually, she knew in advance this was happening, and we actually thought it would be a good segment for the show because there are other resorts that are under construction. There is a great deal of renovations being done at Disney in general. So I think it's helpful to give people some advice as to what to expect, how to deal with things, and sort of how to approach this whole thing that might be a major inconvenience to their vacation. So tell us about your stay.
Well, first of all, I knew going in what I was getting for it. In fact, I changed resorts to stay at the Caribbean Beach. 2 reasons. One, for the show, because it seems like all my travel now, I think, can this be a show?
Welcome to our world.
So that was one reason. And the other reason was I could get an annual pass holder right there. And they started offering $75 per night gift cards. I'm like, okay, I'll sleep in your construction zone for an extra $75 a night. So I feel like they almost paid me to stay there a little bit. So I thought, I'm all in. Now, I will say the $75 per night gift card, they're no longer offering that. They started offering it, and I think they were surprised at how many people decided, like me, to stay there because of it. And I think they started to do the math, and they thought, okay, no, we can't do that. So they've since rescinded that, so that's no longer an offer. But we were staying for 5 nights, and we got a $75 gift card per night of stay.
Was that per person or per
total? So per room. So I knew going in there was construction. I have stayed, and also Disney's not calling it construction. They call them renovations. They call them rehabs,
Pixie
refurbishments.
dust.
They have all these great words. They don't use the word construction.
Magical upgrades.
Right. So I have stayed in many, many resorts having all of these magical upgrades. I've been in resorts that have been having renovations before, and honestly, it never really bothered me. If there was something major like the pool out, that may or may not concern me. But, whether they're redoing the rooms, I figure they're not putting me in the room beside where they're redoing it. It doesn't bother me. So I figure whatever. So we get there, and we're in a construction zone. Like, it literally was a construction zone. There were big trucks coming in and out. There were men in hard hats everywhere, and not the kind that would dance for you in Vegas. They were working.
Why did you look at me?
Just to clarify. These were a couple of the pictures that we took. I have some pictures of like whole buildings demolished and piles of rubble, and I just couldn't bring myself to show them all.
Again, I think it's important to point out the fact that this is not rooms being rehabbed.
No.
This is not things being painted.
They took entire buildings out.
The only experience we have with this, we haven't been there, but we can see it from the road as we drive into Disney, and it's completely different landscape.
It's like they've bulldozed part of the resort.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
Again, this is not just the pixie dust we're painting the trim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've stayed in hotels in different parts of the country where there's some lobby renovation going on. This is
major.
Was it shocking to you to see buildings missing?
It was. And I've been to the Caribbean Beach before, and it's one of a few resorts I've never stayed at, but I've been there several times. I could not get my bearings. When we came in, I kind of didn't even know where I was. It was really like whole sections were gone, and now all of a sudden you were seeing areas of the resort that you couldn't have before because there were buildings in the way. It was very hard to get oriented.
We're being locals. There are parts of Disney property at this point that I don't recognize. There's the intersection out by the Wide World of Sports that is just looks so different at this point. At first you have to wonder where you knew where certain turns were. Now you physically have to look for them because it's no longer just sense memory.
It was, and I can tell you, I had stayed there during the 20th, and a couple of our agents were down as well. So they had come to the resort with us one evening or one afternoon, and they were shocked too. They were like, oh my God. Like, we all left with we need to make sure people understand this. That was kind of the thought that we all had about it. So did it impact my stay? Yeah, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I still feel like I chose this. I knew going in, I didn't know it was going to be as extreme as it was, but I had read that there was significant things changing. And as far as I know, this is planned into 2019. I think throughout that period, like I think by June of 18, we're going to see some of the things that are closed now reopen. But this is a 2-year construction project.
And
this
the reason
is major.
for the construction is this is going to be a future Disney Vacation Club property.
Have they confirmed that, or are we still okay?
No,
Disney Vacation Club at a moderate resort.
Right. And then there's talks of what's it called? A tram system?
The gondola.
The gondolas. That's
And
the
we
word.
actually-
You can see that everywhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's going in for sure.
Yeah, you can start to see that pop up.
I don't want to give anybody the impression that it looks like that yet.
No.
But you can see the preliminary work being done on that.
And apparently there's new buildings going in. I heard something about 7 new buildings. One of them is going to be kind of like not a high rise, but like a larger multi-level.
Resort rather than Caribbean Beach is two stories.
Yeah, I think they're
moment.
2-story buildings.
So yeah, you're going to have multi-level buildings.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what's missing at the moment? What's been torn down?
Yeah, so at this point, there's no food court. The food court's gone. And it's Old Port Royale was the area.
Right.
So that's just gone now. That whole area's gone. So there's no food court.
That's
the
amazing.
pool bar's gone. Shutter's restaurant is gone.
Okay, well, that's not a loss.
The gift shop, no. It's not a loss. Maybe that was the reason for the whole thing. They just need to
I hope I had something to do with that.
The Calypso gift shop. I mean, it's all. So all of the public areas, as far as inside venues, are gone. I know, as far as I could tell, there weren't pools affected. I don't know if that'll change throughout, but at this point, it seemed like that was all kind of operational. So it's all gone. It's just not there. So let's talk about some of what they did. How did they accommodate? The first thing we noticed was when we got there to check in, there were a lot of cast members around. There were a lot of people at the door, a lot of people having conversation with you.
To catch you as you faint.
Yeah, but there was a lot of people working. There weren't long waits. Like, it seemed to me like they were doing everything they could to overcompensate. They know what they've got.
So the regular check-in area is the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
there.
and what are they? I think they call that center town. So when you first come in, there's that main building up front. That's still
Port of
there.
Entry? No, that's I think over at Universal.
That's Islands of Adventure. Port of Entry.
So that's still there. So that building, it looked the same there. And I think they were going out of their way to make sure there weren't long waits to check in. At one point, I had said construction. This cast member said refurbishment. I was like, oh no, honey. When there's big trucks and we're beyond drapes and curtains and stuff like that here. This is construction. Let's call a spade a
When
spade.
you hear the truck beeping.
Right.
So you've got the Disney spin.
Right. So
Did
that
they
was.
give you anything on check-in? Did they say to you, you knew you were getting this gift card?
Yeah, they had given me my gift card. The great thing was I was expecting all $75 gift cards. They gave me one gift card, and actually the gift card had Mickey and a hard hat on it. So
that's
I thought that was
cool.
really
That's
cool.
cute.
Yeah.
Souvenir.
And
Hi, Tracy.
so
We're sorry.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly.
put that on your magic band? Could you then say, put that on your magic band?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I just used it. It didn't last very long, so it was good. I had plans for that long before I showed up.
Wet wipes and
Yeah, exactly.
And noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, antibacterial wipes. So, the check-in was very smooth. She was very accommodating of Billy. First, they were putting me, I don't know, like it seemed like almost another resort. It was so far where they're putting me. It's like, yeah, that's not going to work. And not that I really needed to be close to that old Port Royale that wasn't there anyway. But it's just like, okay. But they were more accommodating than I've ever had at check-in, helping me find a room that was going to work for me.
All right, so let me ask some questions there.
Sure.
Do you think they were trying to put you furthest away so you didn't hear the construction?
I believe they were. I didn't know that at the time because I hadn't gotten the full effect yet.
Gotcha.
Later on, as we were going around the resort and taking pictures, there are certain buildings I think that you would stay in that you probably would have heard a lot more going on. You would have been closer.
Oh, I think that's the Caribbean Beach calling right now to tell you that
Talking about me.
it's a refurbishment.
Right. I hope.
It's not.
Maybe they have another gift card for me.
So then my follow-up question to that is, do you think the reason why they were accommodating to move you was because there's so many empty rooms?
Well, that's why I think I had a lot of choice. And so I think...
Pick any room you want.
I think the fact that they were moving me back over, it's like, okay, honey, well, you chose this. Yeah. I think I kind of got after the fact, as certain things happened, I thought, yeah, they were just laughing at me in the back room. Yeah, sure, we'll put you over there, honey. Whatever.
She wants to be closer.
Exactly. Give her a hard hat. I wasn't close enough to need a hard hat and steel-toe boots, so I think I was still good. So the check-in all went fine. When we got to the room, there was a welcome gift there, and I think I have a photo of it. There was this that you can't tell from the back; it's a little bit dark in the background, but that bag says Caribbean Beach on it, and it's a cooler bag, and so it's insulated. But they had given us water and those milk in a box.
I'm sorry.
Weird. So
it looks like you're sending your kid off to camp.
It looks like rations.
It looks like it almost looked like rations. And as the night went on, later in night, I kind of realized that this might have been because there could have been severe outages and we needed rations.
This was your hurricane supply.
Exactly.
Here's your stuff for naked and afraid.
At the time we checked in, we thought it was a nice touch, and it came with a little note.
All right, so wait, I have questions.
Okay.
So I see the cereal, I see the non-dairy milk, I see a energy bar. What is the thing with a propeller on it?
Oh, that's the Go-Go Squeeze. That's the applesauce.
Applesauce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They gave you non-dairy creamer for your cereal? Yum.
It was called Dairy Pure. I don't know if it was non-dairy or not.
I think it was.
We ended up not eating it or drinking it. It came with a couple bottles of water. So that was waiting for us in the room.
Zombie apocalypse rations.
So we thought, okay, that was a nice touch.
You are still going into this with pixie dust.
I am. I'm all about the magical enhancements. It's amazing what a $75 per night gift card will make me overlook.
We now know Tracy's price.
Exactly. Yeah. Disney and if the gift card has Mickey and a hard hat on it, I'm sold, apparently.
Little stuff like that means a big deal.
It does. It's little touches that that means something.
Right. So you got in your room and you got your
So we got in a room,
bag.
we got everything. We went out and we enjoyed the evening. And then when we came back, I sat down to work and I had no internet. Okay, this is a problem. Tracy is no longer in good spirits. You can give me the dairy-free milk and the propeller applesauce, but you take away my internet, we have a problem. So I'm like, okay. So I go to pick up the phone to call front desk. I have no phone.
This is why they left food.
The phone's not working. Okay. Oh. So Chris is on the bed about to watch TV. The TV's not working. Now that's Chris's boiling point. Really? So we all have our levels. So I said to Chris, go on down to the grab and go, and I'll explain that in a minute, what that was, and have them call the front desk and send somebody up. He goes down, he comes back, he goes, yeah, their phone's not working either. It hasn't been working all day. Okay. So now I'm like, I look up a number for the Caribbean Beach. Well, now when you can't call the resort directly from outside,
right,
you get put into some central guest services area, and I'm like, I don't care who you are, and I don't care where you work. I need to speak to somebody at the front desk of my hotel. Oh, I can help you, ma'am. This is not the time. I'm sorry, but you're probably going to hear me say some things you don't want to hear me. So fine, I played the game, and okay, finally, I'm going to put you through to somebody at the resort. I get hung up on. So I have to go back through it all again. Long story short, they sent a tech guy out. He didn't know what was wrong. I spoke to a second person on the phone. She was telling me, I spoke to a front desk man or spoke to some service or whatever, and they said there's no problems with the internet and phone in your area, so it's all good. Okay, well, first of all, I'm telling you there's a problem because it's not working, and second of all, the person in your grab and go has a problem as well. So unless we're both lying to you, so I was getting worked up by this point, and I'm like, okay, you just need to just give me a manager. She goes, well, I can put you through to our internet supply company. What? What?
You want me to fix it?
Well, not only that, it's like, that's for if you can't log in. That's not if you don't have wires.
Exactly.
Leading to your building.
Exactly. It was just like, oh my God. It was like such a comedy. And I think for one of my clients
how was that
who
gift card
don't
holding
know
you?
how to play the Disney game.
Right.
There's we go through these kind of frustrating things with Disney all the time. It's always like the left hand doesn't exactly know what the right hand's doing all the time.
Or that there is a right hand.
Right. So we go through that all the time. So I was like, instantly, I was like, okay, this has to stop now. You need to put a manager on the phone, not your supervisor. I need to speak to a resort manager, and I need that to happen now. It's 10:30 at night. So she comes on the phone. Well, I can call the company and find out what's going on. I said, first of all, don't tell me there's nothing going on, because your guy is sitting here right now looking like he wants to leave because I'm yelling, and he's like a little scared right now. So he feels like he's being held hostage. So she's like, oh, I can move you. I'm like, it's 10:30 at night. I've been traveling since 5 o'clock this morning. I'm a complete unpacker. So I got to tell you, the idea of moving horrifies me. So I'm like, find out what's wrong with it and when it's going to be fixed. So she calls me back. And I said, and I need a number to reach you. I'm not calling through that guest services place anymore. So I now have the direct line to the Caribbean Beach front desk.
Wow. Look at you.
I know, which is like, it's a prominent spot on my desk because those numbers are hard to come by. So eventually she got back to me and said, yes, there is a problem. Having validation and confirmation was very important to me at this point. So she said, yes, there is a problem. And we don't know that it'll be up tonight, but it'll be up tomorrow. I'm like, fine, I can work off my phone for tonight. I can make that work. And they did offer me more credit so they did put a credit on my room for the inconvenience.
So did you have power?
I had power.
But it was this sort of...
But something was not getting out the media. So the next morning, internet was up. So that was number one. The phone didn't come up until about 3 days later. And when the phone came up, we had 4 messages from the front desk asking us if our phone was up, if our stuff was working. It's like, I couldn't get the phone. I couldn't tell.
Do you see the circular paradox I'm within if I can't make the phone work?
And so we had all these messages. Oh, we're just calling to make sure everything's working okay. Well, we haven't heard from you, so we assume everything's working okay. It's like, oh my God. And this was the 20th, so we were gone from morning to night. I mean, we were busy that week. So it wasn't like we were coming back during the day to check things out or anything. Right. And so...
As you would, go back and check the phone.
Right. And the cable, the TV had come back the next day as well. So we had internet, we had TV. I figured I've got to sell if there's an emergency, and I've got the magic number. So it was like, whatever. But I just thought these messages on the phone when it came back up was just hilarious.
So there's something...
Since we haven't heard from you, we assume it's okay.
Exactly.
That's not an assumption you can make.
Yeah.
As Sheldon would say, you don't have the right data.
So thinking about this situation, right? So your common area, whatever this grab and go place is out. Why isn't someone being proactive?
Right.
And saying, well, if this place is out, maybe our guests are affected.
Yeah. Apparently, nobody made the connection. So I don't know. The grab and go, she reported it to her manager. And if that person is the manager of the grab and goes, maybe they didn't think past grab and go to rooms. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems to be
that's a typical Disney thing. Excuse me.
There's this.
It's very compartmental.
Exactly.
I'm having trouble talking. Compartmentalized.
And I got caught in the middle of it. And I think a regular guest, one of my clients, would not have known that this is just par for the course. You just got to keep, strong enough and yell enough to get the right person on the phone and say, make this happen. They gave me a credit. I feel they made it right for me because my services were back up the next day except for the phone. But I feel like I was fine.
How much credit did they give you?
$100. So
per person?
No.
You keep asking that.
Total.
I keep hoping she's going to say that. So eventually I'm hoping she's on the plus side.
Yeah. So, they gave me $100 credit for that night. And so, it kind of was what it was at that point.
Eventually, did you come home with more money than you left with?
It's hard to tell at Disney because that never kind of happens. It just means more money for Disney.
Gotcha.
So they know. I mean, they could have given me a $300 credit. They knew they were getting it back.
It's all going back in.
Yeah. It was irrelevant, really, at that point. But you think about it. I was on a pass holder rate. I had the $75 per room credit gift card and that $100 credit. I get the very worst broke even on my stay. So, it kind of... And again, I chose this. I went in this eyes wide open. Now, I wasn't expecting to not have basic services. Right. Internet, phone. And like I said to her, you've put me in a room without a phone. That's not safe. That's important. So, TV, maybe not so important. Internet's extremely important to me. Like, internet's more important than food for me.
There's also questions about other things.
Yes.
Are the fire alarms working?
Right.
Is there other things that could affect your safety? I understand you're in a construction area, but I think you're right to assume that basic needs would be met.
Yeah, exactly.
So have you heard at this point?
Yes, because this is not post-hurricane.
Right,
I'm still paying to stay here.
Exactly. Yeah. And even though you expect an inconvenience, you don't expect this.
Right.
Have you heard construction noises at this point?
I did not hear any construction noises from my room.
Oh, good.
The most annoying thing I heard from my room was the person who was coming at 6:45 every morning and leaf blowing the sidewalks. At one point, I flew the door open and I looked outside in full pajama and said, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?"
We witnessed that, Tracy.
I've seen that, Tracy.
You have.
There are some people in Italy who have gone through crisis counseling.
It's true. So, but I heard no construction noise where I was.
Good to know.
So I felt like I was in a good location, and that the construction aspect of it did not impact my stay, except for what we'll talk about now in the central locations. So first thing, let's talk about the grab-and-go locations. Island markets, they're calling them, and they've put these throughout the different sections. So I believe there's 3 in total. We were in... my brain's escaping. I think we were in Aruba. So what they've done is they've converted a room to a grab-and-go location. So they've put coolers in, so they have drinks... And the bed's gone, if you were wondering. There's no bed anymore.
So when you mean room, you mean like a resort room,
like a guest room.
Would stay in.
You can't go in and lay down.
No. And they might have even have done it to 2. Like it might have been 2 rooms. So they've made these grab-and-go locations. They put the coffee service area. They've got some baked goods. The coolers had drinks, made-to-go sandwiches and salads and things like that. And there was a couple different things that we could buy in there. So those are spread out throughout the resort. They've also put concierge locations throughout the resorts as well. So each section of buildings has a concierge. So you're not having to trek all the way, back up to the very front where you check in. And there's just a desk in there. There was an ATM in there. So each are staffed to help you with anything that might come
tickets,
up.
maybe fast passes.
Exactly. And maybe it was just because nobody's phone was working. They needed to have places close by
come to.
so that you could get help. I don't know.
Call home.
So that was a nice touch. So they had done that. The other thing they had done was where the ice makers were in the buildings, they put Freestyle Machines in there that would take your refillable mugs.
Oh, okay.
So we actually found that more convenient than the old way of refilling your mug. So that was a nice touch for us as well, having that, the ice was there and they put the Freestyle machine and, we could go. So those were all...
That might stay.
It might. I thought it was a really good idea. So I would say that they're trying. I think, and the hard part is the cast members in the resort, they're on the front lines, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So they're just as much victim to these decisions that are being made at a much higher pay grade as the rest of us are, but they have to face the guest. So you really feel for them who are really trying to make the best of a bad situation. And I can tell you, they really tried hard. We ran into multiple cast members who were very helpful, very friendly. They seemed way more staffed than a resort normally is. There seem to be a lot of people in a lot of places. So let's talk about, I talked about all the things that they've taken out. What have they put in to replace it? Where can you eat when you're at the resort? They've put in, it's a mess hall, for lack of a better. It's a dining tent. It's a dining tent. It reminded me. It reminded me of MASH, the mess hall. Except it was bigger and had fancier lights.
It reminds me of Oktoberfest. As you say, it reminds me a lot of Oktoberfest.
Yes.
So I went to Germany.
Right. We have Oktoberfest in the city I'm from. And it looked very much like the fest halls. But there was a lot less beer on the floor. So this is where... yeah. And so this is where the food is happening. They had a spot out front where you could purchase these things. So what they're doing is breakfast and dinner, they're doing a buffet. So the breakfast buffet, I think, was $13.99. The dinner buffet, $21, something like that. But you could use a quick service dining credit for it.
Oh, okay.
And it's still better than Shutters.
It's still better than Shutters, yeah. So,
I first of all, I'm a little bit surprised at the price being so low.
Yes,
it
and
felt
I think
low.
It is low. Okay. I would say it's low, and I would say that the breakfast we did do the breakfast one morning, was one of the better buffet breakfasts I've had on property.
Wow.
As far as the quality of it, $13.99. Now, I'm not saying if you're staying at a different resort, get in the bus and come over to the Caribbean beach because it's a good deal.
Let's go eat in the tent.
Put on your hard hat.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that. It is very good value for a quick service credit. It was a very good value even if you were paying out of pocket. But logistic-wise, I mean, you had to stand in line and you had to pay for your buffet, and then they gave you a wristband because what would happen is there was also food trucks there where you could get a la carte menu or a la carte options. And when you ordered, this kind of tent was really the only indoor seating. So you had to have the wristband so that they knew you were allowed to go to the buffet.
Go back to the buffet and it gets
Right.
Were the food trucks included in that price?
No, that was a separate a la carte thing.
Okay.
So you would, if you wanted to just order something,
Gotcha.
there was you can see a picture of it there. So
How far from where your room was the tent?
this is where Old Port Royale used to be, and I was in Aruba, so I was fairly close to this. Like we could literally walk there. It was a roundabout walk because there's like these big construction fences all around, but we could walk there. Caribbean Beach runs the internal bus that moves you throughout the resort. So, this would be no different than if it was the old setup. You would come to this area for the food court anyway. So they had the food truck. They're still doing, like I mentioned, the grab and goes. They're still doing pizza delivery. But that buffet, just to go back to it for a second, when I say I wouldn't get a bus over here to enjoy it. Once we paid for it, we'd go into a different line to get our wristband. And then we were standing in line, and I'm like, okay, I thought they were seating us. Maybe they had special seats for people who were doing the buffet because it was very full in there. No, you were waiting in a line to be able to go up and access the buffet. So then once we went up,
get your food, and then you got to hope that there's a table available
Exactly.
and a seat for you. Oh, I hate
so then we were walking around with our food. But as I said, the buffet was really well done. Mounds of really fresh cut fruit. They had your typicals, your eggs and your bacon and stuff. They were carving ham at the buffet. They had the waffles, so really good value. Again, I think it's an example of where they've made the best of a bad situation, but you just can't help but see the humor of the tent. I mean, it's just, what else could you have done? I don't think there is anything. It's kind of funny.
Were you surprised at the number of people in the buffet?
I was, yeah.
Like, is this many people staying at the resort?
Yeah, I was a
shocked
little,
me.
but we were also though 9:30, which is kind of prime breakfast time. But yeah, it was a little shocking how many people were there, but it was.
I'm enjoying this picture.
I know. It's funny.
I see St. Pauli girls with big mugs.
Like 6 of them.
And I mean, this is not, to give Disney credit where credit's due, this is a structure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They've erected
This isn't
a structure.
something you and I set up.
Right.
Because I think it's going to be, my understanding is it's June of 18 before these food venues start to open again. So this is a.
Isn't the building gone?
thing. Oh, yeah, the building's gone. This is where the building used to be.
Right. So
Yeah, it's a long time.
it's not like the restaurant can reopen. They have to build a building around
It
it.
feels to me, though, that if this is where the food court used to be and those buildings used to be, that what they're building is going to be another location that they'll use
Right.
while they rebuild this. So eventually, whatever this is or whatever new
Yes.
food locations are come
Yes.
available will be somewhere else.
I'm guessing the same thing. And I've heard them talk a lot about the kind of like waterfront shopping and restaurants and stuff. So I think they're really looking at making this resort a bit of a destination. It kind of sounds cool. I think it's going to be good when it's done. There's just going to be a lot of bumpy road in the middle. They also have a shopping truck. So there's no gift shop, which we missed. It's funny, of all the things, we missed the gift shop. That's something that you just kind of do. You go back to your resort, you walk the gift shop,
Right.
go to your room.
Right, for sure.
So there's no gift shop. So they have the shopping truck, and it actually has 2 sides to it, but basically just your staples are there.
Any Disney Caribbean Beach specific merchandise at this?
Yeah, there was some Caribbean Beach stuff. We were hoping to see a Caribbean Beach pin with like construction or Mickey in a hard hat, but they didn't do that. So, but yeah, it's basically your standard stuff, but a lot less of it. What else did I want to talk about? Let's talk about, should you stay here?
I was going to say, given everything you've experienced, including the gift card, including the compensation for the problem, was it worth it?
Yes.
Wow.
I would do it again. But please know, I'm not your typical traveler. It wasn't the first time I've been to Disney this year, and it wouldn't be the last. I'm going 4, 5, 6 times a year. So I think my point of view is different.
You also have you're able to look at the situation and set your expectations accordingly.
Right.
If you're staying at Alani and something of this magnitude were to take place, you would not be happy.
No.
But you went into it knowing what it was going to be, knowing what to expect. It wasn't a surprise. You got a certain compensation for it that you felt was worth it. So you were able to set your expectations for this.
My concern is for those people, if this is your big family vacation, if this is your first time to Disney, and maybe not even your first time, but your third time. But there's a lot of people, a lot of my clients who save for their Disney vacation. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's once a year, maybe it's once every 2 years. Those are the people I don't know that I would suggest they do it. I can tell you from an agent point of view, I tell all of my clients not to stay here.
Wow. Okay.
I tell all of them not to stay here. If they want it, I will certainly book it. And sometimes, like, for example, with free dining, it's all I can get. So I will say, this is what's happening. If you want it, this is the deal. But this is going to impact your vacation. Now, if you're one of those people who sleeps and showers in the resort and then you're gone from the resort, then maybe. But they're not giving big discounts here. They're no longer giving any gift cards. There's no really big specials. It's only because they happen to have rooms left when nobody else does.
Mm-hmm. I also think there's a difference if you're, once you've traveled enough, mm-hmm. you sort of, I don't think the issues throw you as much.
Exactly.
You kind of learn how to roll with that. You learn how to ask for what you need. You learn how to try and either make the best or move.
Yeah.
I think for someone who's not well versed in how Disney works and how Disney operated or how Disney operates, this could be a bigger deal. Yeah. If you're one of those people who wants to go out and sit by the pool and, you know, sunshine and palm trees and a bar drink, this might not be the place.
Right. And I think that first night for a lot of people would have really affected the rest of their vacation. Okay. Because of that. It could be disheartening to some people who expect that, well, Disney's going to take care of things, and they get stuck in this circle.
Right.
And for me, it was, I just call that Tuesday.
Exactly.
It's like, whatever. That's just the way it goes.
Because you've dealt with Disney.
Exactly. So I think it's those people, and I know there's going to be a lot of people listening right now that have this resort booked. Am I telling you to cancel it? No, I'm not. I'm telling you, chances are at this point, if you've got it booked, you don't have other options. My goal in this is just to manage your expectations the way mine were. I want you to know what to expect. I want you to know that eating at your resort is probably not your best plan. Maybe grab some breakfast or a snack.
If you're one of those people where the ambiance of the restaurant is the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if this is a vacation where you did plan on having resort days, this may not be the place for you either. So it's just a matter of managing those expectations, because that's really, I feel that's our number one job as travel agents, making sure people, expect.
So it sounds to me like you would, because there's not these savings or these discounts at this point, you're saying it's not worth it.
Yeah.
To put up with that aggravation for sure.
No, I wouldn't. Not if you have other choices. Like if there's no other availability, you really wanted free dining, you can only get the pirate room at the Caribbean beach, then maybe you do want to make that decision. But again, now you know, right? Who is it is it Maya Angelou who said, when you know better, you do better? Now you know. So if you decide that...
Yes, sure.
Yeah, if you decide that you want to do this now, you've got the information, maybe it's going to be okay for you. And I got to tell you, with the right rate or offer, I would do it again. But I know what to expect.
Right.
And I would double check my internet and phone before I unpacked.
Excellent.
And go back at least once a day to make sure it was still working.
How busy you are. Excellent. Tracey, thanks so much for biting the bullet and taking one for the team and putting up with the Caribbean Beach, because I know Kevin and I would not do it.
I don't agree with that.
You don't think?
No, I think if we were on the other side, you and I could just look past it. As long as, what are we going to do? I'm not going to eat in a tent, but
would you? But the big question is, would you have even stayed at the Caribbean Beach before the construction?
I think people have an idea that John and I, live a certain way. Again, sure.
There was a time where I have stayed at the Caribbean Beach and I like it. It's just not my thing at the moment.
Yeah.
But again, I think there's also this idea of if it were my only option, it's the only thing I could afford, and it was the only thing available, I would do it.
Yeah.
But
we go to New York City. I'm just going to give you an example. And we stay in a very nice hotel that we love, but it's a Disney moderate hotel.
Yeah.
If that. It is a tiny room.
It is a tiny room at a high price on a side street. So it's not like, we're not
at the plaza.
Right, with the Central Park view. We stay, it probably is more like a Disney value resort.
I think it's like you said. I think when you're more used to traveling, you kind of tend to roll with things a little bit differently.
You also
just
prioritize.
Get a different perspective. And also, I also think your perspective is different if this isn't the only vacation you're taking for 2 years. We're fortunate in our line of work. We get to vacation a lot. We know that's not the reality for a lot of our clients. Right. So I think your perspective is different then as well. And whether it's a value resort or whether it's a Grand Floridian, it's still your vacation dollars that you've spent.
Exactly. And I understand that every vacationer wants their vacation to be perfect. If you go into that if it's not perfect...
Yeah.
Anytime you travel, anywhere you travel.
Any Disney resort, something could go wrong.
And even Disney. If you travel at all and you go into this thinking if it's not perfect, it's going to be awful, you're going to be disappointed a lot because there's a lot of times when things aren't perfect.
I think it's a good message overall. I think it's managing your expectations and just knowing that,
anything can happen.
And I thought I was prepared as I could be. And then there were things thrown at me that I wasn't expecting. But, in the end... Yeah, it all worked out.
Great. Thank you again, Tracey, for doing that. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your reporting back to us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. We appreciate that as well. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.